We've been talking all week about watching others and the value that we can gain from watching others. And the first 2 days, we talked about sort of the two obvious things that happen when you watch others. You can gain from their knowledge, and you can gain from them going through an experience. Today, we're going to talk about that thing that we don't often think about it, I believe, when we're watching others, is trying to understand their unique perspective, sort of why they do what they do and why they believe what they're doing is going to help them get the results they need. So today we're going to talk about watching others, gaining a unique perspective, and more on episode 931 of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote provides an opportunity for business owners and leaders to discover what is real for them and to be impacted by what is real for others. That is the Renegade way. Let's get real. We all face challenges and get stuck occasionally and are looking for an antidote. Each weekday, this show dives into a topic that may have you stuck, frustrated, and uncertain. Our goal is to share our value in an effort to help you find that one thing, the antidote to your challenges, so that you can get results and make more money. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Oh, little vibrato there. I'm going to have to figure out on my guitar what that last note is and just bring my guitar one day for laughs.
You know, I think that would be more pleasant than whatever that noise is that you just made.
Hey, so it's Brutal Honesty Thursday, folks. Most people on the social media like Throwback Thursday, but Tom's going with Brutal Honesty Thursday. Hashtag watch out.
It's unique.
I sounded like a young person with that, didn't I?
Because you said hashtag?
Yes.
I'm not sure that hashtag is so new and unique anymore that it would make you sound like it makes you sound like a sort of not old person.
Well, and when I was a kid, and maybe when you were a kid as well, they were called pound signs. I don't know how they became hashtags. Really, really interesting, that shift, because.
Well, I think it happened when we got sort of rid of the punch through phone, which I don't even know why that was on the phone. Why was the pound sign and the star on the phone?
So you could press star 69 and block a person, or press pound 64 and get something else. I don't know.
Wasn't pound 69 that it redialed the last person that just dialed you?
Yes, with the cell phones. But wasn't there? What was the thing that if you pressed it when it was a older phone, it blocked the caller?
I don't know.
I don't know. And I also want to understand where a slash that is forward falling, the top is moving to the right, so it's a forward slash, is all the time called in every advertisement a backslash. RenegadeSuccessNetwork.com / blah, blah, blah. And it's not a backslash. Backslash would be tilted towards the left, the top going to the left. These are the things, Tom, that drive me crazy in my day. These are also the things I waste my time thinking about.
That's what I was wondering.
Talk about gaining a unique perspective this morning from me.
Right. If you're starting to identify these things that you think about and you go, why? Or others are saying, why are you thinking about this? There are probably a lot of people out there who are listening to this going like, why would you think about this?
Not the first time I've heard that. Not even on a bet. So this topic is really interesting because this morning I was up and I happened to see on social media a post from some people that do something similar to what we do. And I don't remember why or what it was, but it immediately frustrated me. I don't remember why. I really don't. And it's not surprising because I've been frustrated by this posting number of times, but I knew our topic today. And so I really stepped back for a second and said, okay, Bob, what is stopping you here from looking at this like everything else? I see this, I look at it, drives me crazy, and then I get frustrated. I'm like, okay, what's the perspective I can gain from this? And honestly, I don't remember what the post was. Actually, it wasn't this morning. It was last night. That's right. It was last night I saw this as I was watching the end of the baseball game, the Dodgers game. And I went through this process and I realized that the unique perspective I needed to gain is that they are going about their business their way. It might not be the way I would do my business. Might not be what I would post. It might not be how I would post it. Might not be the imagery I would use, but it works for them. And I can either be frustrated by that and make fun of it in my head, or I can learn from it and say, wow, you know, there's a sensibility to this that's interesting. There's a personality to it, for want of a better phrase. And that maybe that's the piece of it that perhaps I can learn from, and perhaps there are things that are missing or could be integrated into what I do from that perspective.
Or it's just helpful to know that that's the perspective. You
Right.
may not have the same perspective, and likely your reaction to it is causing you to either question your own perspective or consider how. What's that?
There was a point where it got me stuck.
Yeah.
So much so that you and I came up with a system that if I made a comment about these posts, I had to do something that was not much fun.
Well, I think that's part of it.
And
right?
that helped me get past it. And I don't see their posts very much. I don't react to them very often. But for whatever reason, last night, it was a post that I reacted to. Is that so? And I thought it was a good example. And I don't think I'm the only person in the world. I've seen other people who see the post of their old boyfriend or girlfriend, or their a competitor or a fellow employee. I saw someone a couple weeks ago, a friend of mine, and he saw a fellow employee was on vacation, and they were at a really nice resort, and they were really having fun. And this person was really frustrated by that. Like, come on. Do they really have to post this? We're here working, and they, it's not even their money. It's their spouse's money, and they wouldn't be able to do this without their spouse. Who's watching the kids, and down the rabbit hole. And I think that's what we do so often when we watch others, is we compare ourselves. And the net result is we find everything wrong with them, rather than looking at ourselves and saying, if I wanted to go to a really nice resort, I probably could make that happen. I'd have to make some other choices.
Sure.
That maybe I want to or don't want to make.
Well, it's about priorities.
Right.
In some ways, when you see what other people do, you get a chance to have a different understanding of what's their perspective on, in that case, a vacation. For them, it's go to a nice resort and post videos or pictures of how much fun they're having. Now, whether they truly are or not, as we know with social media, it's the perception that is what everyone is wanting to share. Whether that's actually the reality or not, it's hard to tell.
Right. It seems like we share the highs and we share the lows.
Correct.
No one seems to put their dinner in a photo when it's hamburger helper and tater tots. I haven't seen that picture on social media, but boy, if you have a really nice dinner, the lighting's perfect and you make it look perfect. Or if you totally burn something, you show that. And I think that's the to gain the unique perspective from something, you have to realize that we tend to focus on the highs and lows. That this company that I see their posts and frustrates me from time to time they've figured something out. You know, I've known the participants in the company, the leaders of that company now for, I don't know, maybe 10 years. And they're nice, and they're in, you know, I have no problem with them as people. They're great people. And if I'm being honest, they've really figured something out. I don't know that I've figured out what they've figured out, but they figured something out. And I could probably learn from it. And I could probably sit down with them, run into them somewhere, sit down and be like, hey, guys, I see you do this. How's that working? Oh, and they probably ask me, hey, I see you do this thing every morning. What does it pay off? You know, this way does this. And we might learn from each other just by having that discussion.
Sure.
I think what so often happens is we shut that door to that discussion.
Because you make a
someone
judgment.
came up to me yesterday. You and I were at a networking event, and I was with a group, and we had to do group displays, and I had a TV, and I'd taken some videos from several companies and lined them up on a video, and it looped on the TV. And the person that shot one of the videos for one of the companies was also in the networking group, but they weren't part of our team. So they weren't. And he came over, he's like, that's a brilliant idea. That's really a great, that's so easy. What a great idea. Do you mind if I put our business cards right under the TV? Because we shot that one video. And my first thought was, how dare you? And then my second thought is, how cool that he's coming over and saying, where'd you get the TV? You know, how big is the TV? And I said, well, it's actually my monitor from my home office. And I just unplugged it and brought it here. And then I did a flash drive. He's like, you didn't even use Wi-Fi. I'm like, no, I wasn't trusting Wi-Fi. He's like, how much was the TV? I'm like, it was $100. I found it on sale, and I'm getting a TV.
You can probably even get it cheaper today.
Right.
On Amazon Prime.
I'm going to get a TV, and we're going to have this ready to go, and I'm going to make sure that we have some samples of our work, because this is such a great display. And it's so, he's like, I don't mean like simple, you didn't do work. I know it took work to get all that worked out, but simple in terms of you didn't do all the stuff we did. And his table was a million pieces of stuff. Our table was basically a TV. And so he learned, and he gained a perspective, and he went the extra step. Instead of going, oh, what a silly thing. I can't believe they did that. We did all this work and they did that. He came and asked me questions so he could learn if it was something he wanted to execute on his own. So he's looking at the cost. He was looking at the effort. He was worried about the technology, which stands to reason. And yeah, the TVs now have the flash drive port. I'm like, I know. I realized that the night before. I'm like, if the technology doesn't work, and then I thought, I got a flash drive. I can just put it on there. And then I don't even need to bring my laptop. I can just literally play it from itself. It's like, that's so much easier. How big was the flash drive? Like, it didn't have to be really big. And so not only did he ask me the questions, but I was happy to share with him. And that's the other part of it. I realized in that moment, it's like, this is really cool. This guy respects what I've done, and he wants to learn from me, and it helps him do what he's trying to do better. And this is someone I'd never talked to at all. I literally had introduced myself earlier in the day. We started talking about that. And later we were just chit-chatting because we'd had this shared experience where my perspective was valuable to him. And honestly, his perspective was valuable to me because he saw what I'd done, not from the big picture, oh, wow, excuse the pun, but from the technical aspects of you executed the steps in this, and I know what those steps are. And I know all the things that you could have done differently. You could have used Wi-Fi. You could have done this. And so he was, in a way, reinforcing the decisions I had made and affirming them and saying, wow, that's really a cool way to do this. I hadn't thought of doing it that way. And someone's out there probably listening to this and going, oh, well, you shouldn't have told him because now he's going to do it. And now it's not unique to you.
Except because your knowledge, experience, and perspective is different, he won't do it exactly the same way that you do. The videos might look
and
different.
he won't use it the same place as I would use it.
Correct.
Nor do I care if he did. Because if he used the videos, they'd be different videos. There'd be different background music. There'd be different color choices.
And who knows, when someone asks him about it, he might tell the story that, hey, I was at this thing and this other guy was doing it. And I asked him about it. And I thought it was really cool that this guy had come up with this solution to a challenge. And now it changed my perspective on how to do tabling.
Right.
We were talking a little bit about earlier this week and last week. And I think that's the opportunity is there to, if we choose to do it. Like he could have walked by and been like, oh, that's nice. He could have been like, oh, I like that idea.
Or I like our table better. Because we tend to fall in love with the things we put the work into rather than go, oh, wow, that's a different thing. I didn't think of that. And it can either be at that point 2 pathways, right? I didn't think of that. Wow, that's a really great idea. I got to add that to my reservoir of ideas. Or I didn't think of that. I'm either really not very smart or what a silly idea. I'm so glad I didn't think of that.
Right. Well, he could have gone into the judgment of, okay, well, how is he doing that? Because the Wi-Fi in here is spotty. Right. How is he doing that? Because where did he get the TV from? All the things that or he could just say, hey, that's a cool idea. I'm just going to run with that idea. I need a screen and some videos. And then he might figure out differently. He might run it off of his laptop. He might do some other things. So it's an opportunity for him to see. He had the chance to learn from what's real from you. And he decided to ask the questions to understand even more.
And he actually took it a step further. And here's where he helped. So I had the video, but because of the dynamics of the room, it was really loud. So we couldn't play the audio. And he said, hey, did you ever think about captioning it? I was like, oh. He's like, I think that would have been a really good addition. And I said, I didn't really think about it. I was really working on getting the audio. And he said, we caption everything now.
Or headphones.
Right. But the idea, the beauty to me is he took my execution, said, this is really, I want to learn from you. And then he volunteered this next step that honestly, I wouldn't have gotten had he not said it to me. Because I was in the frustration of, I spent the time getting this audio right. I had to match up the sound of all these things. And now I can't play it. I'm pissed off.
Because he has different knowledge and experience than you do. So what's real for him is different. And because he has done a lot of video, he realized that you can't always hear the audio.
Well, he also wanted to hear what I was saying about my company in the video. He's like, oh, I'd love to hear what you were saying. And I said, oh, well, I'm sorry, we can't play the sound. It's just too loud. It's going to be distracting. And he said, oh, maybe next time you caption it. I was like, oh, that's a brilliant idea. And he told me a way to do it really easily. And that's the opportunity, I think, when we look at something as a unique situation, learn from it, and then have the dialogue with that person. Now you can really start to intersect your knowledge and their knowledge. And that's where the true opportunity lies for me. Most of the things I do in my company have really come from what I've observed, what I've learned from other people, what I've seen works or doesn't work with clients or other things. It's a mishmash.
Sure.
My company is not me. I didn't get up one day and go, this is how I'm going to build it. This is exactly it. Everything's Bob's vision. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of here, a little bit of there.
I'm going to disagree with that.
Okay. Good. That makes this program more fun.
You think?
You made me choke on my coffee.
So here's the thing, right? Is that yes, what you did is what I think we all do. We learn, we experience, and we have a perspective around what others do. And that has an impact on
and what we do, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
And that has an impact on what's real for us. And because we all have different knowledge, different experience, and different perspectives, your company really is you. Just taking what's real for you based on all these other things that you've learned and created your business. If I had, you and I have some similar work that we do, and yet I do it likely a little bit differently than you. Even though we've talked about business for 931 days, the way we go about doing it is still a little bit different because we both have unique knowledge, experience, and perspective. So what's real for us is different. And so, yes, while you have gained from others, you took all of that and it's impacted what's real for you. And now you are sharing that with others. So it is unique to you. No one else would take all that same information and has the same experiences that you do.
I was going to say they wouldn't have had the same trajectory.
Correct.
Right.
It is unique.
Okay, that's fair. So
as long as we look at it that way. Here's the challenge, though, right? Most people say you're doing that right or wrong. So they don't allow themselves to be impacted by what's real for somebody else. And so they don't gain the opportunity to either learn new knowledge, new experience, or a new perspective. So they just stay as they are, which is still unique, yet they miss the opportunity. That guy could have been like, why does that guy have a TV here? It's so silly. That doesn't make any sense. And he basically said you were wrong to do that. Could have said that. And by saying that, he would not be open to going over to find out, one, what you were doing, why you were doing it, why it had value. And he would have missed an opportunity to impact what's real for him. You chose to share your value, and he was open to receive it.
And what's really not lost on me is that he and I now have a different appreciation for each other.
Sure.
Well, I can't speak for him, but I have much more of an appreciation for him because I know that he shared with me, hey, this is really cool. How'd you do it? Which is a way to say, hey, I want to learn from you. And then he shared with me some feedback that allowed me to learn from him, which means that we're both looking to help ourselves and each other. And those are the people I want to be around versus the person who comes over and says, I can't believe you brought a TV. What were you thinking?
Right. And wow, it's going to be awful rude with all the audio in here.
Right.
And in the space that you were in.
Or the person who just comes over and says, wow, that's really cool. And then walks away.
Yeah.
The opportunity lost to, hey, what, how did you do that? Where'd that come from? What was your thought process?
Correct.
So what's your one thing?
My one thing is that perspective is the hardest thing to understand unless we ask and take the time to be open to being willing to learn from someone else. Knowledge, he could look at that and be like, oh, that guy's got a TV. What the heck? And he's running videos. Interesting. He could gain experience by watching how others interact with it. What he couldn't get on his own was your perspective, why you did this, how you did it, what was going to happen. And so I think that one of the reasons why perspective is really hard to gain because we are oftentimes not willing to go over and do the work that needs to be done to gain it, which is asking questions and being open to that other ways have value that I hadn't considered.
I'm going to take what you said a step further. It's not just asking the questions. It's being willing to hear what's going on without additional judgment. Because one of the things that I see people do, and I do it as well, is defend myself. How many times have I talked about that company and sent you a note and said, Tom, look at this stupid thing?
A lot.
A lot. Right. It just...
Rather than saying, it's interesting here. What do they think they're trying to do?
And I'm sure in your head, you're not saying, yeah, that company is really stupid. You're going, boy, Bob's really stuck on this thing. There's something here that he's got to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't even get to that place because I was so busy being stuck on me versus that.
Correct.
And I think we do that a lot.
I agree.
It just, competitor means you've got to beat them. Versus if you believe in abundance, there's enough for all of us. You and I do a very similar thing. We could be competitors. There are plenty of times where we could go up to someone. You could have gone up to someone yesterday I was talking to and said, hey, I know you're talking to Bob. Let me show you my way of doing this, which is a little different. It might really fit for you. And it's not, you and I have chosen not to do that. Instead, we've really tried to share notes and be like, hey, this is working for me. This is working for me. And we've come together to offer things together to our mutual benefit and to the benefit of other people, because I think what you and I bring to it together is far greater than what each of us bring to it apart.
I would agree. Here's the other thing I would offer is,
and if you want to see what we bring together and how great it is, you can join our, I can't think of it, Get Real, Get Results, Make More Money program. That's right. Tom, put that thing up there. I'll talk about it right now. Boom, here it comes. Yes. Are you ready to get real? Real is not just a word. I know it's a word, but it means something. It's an acronym. I can't remember the 4 things right now. Wait, recognize. You got to recognize where you are. You got to evaluate where you are, where you want to go. And then you got to activate. You got to take steps. And then you got to learn from those steps you take, not just the results, but what you learn in the process, what you learn about yourself, what you learn about your customer, what you learn about the people you're working with. All that can be yours. That's what we do when we talk about, are you ready to get real? That's what we're talking about. We're going to help you come up with the methodology that we've been using that can really accelerate your growth, get you the results you're looking for, and make more money, which isn't just about making more money. It could be getting more free time. It could be enjoying the work you do. It could be having employees who are engaged. It could be doing meetings that people actually want to go to. It can be anything you want it to be. So if that's of interest to you, that's what Tom and I have been working on. That's the culmination, honestly, of 7, 8, 9, 10 years of working together, really. And so if that's of interest to you, shout out to Tom or me, DM us, slide into our DMs, as the kids like to say. There's a really good ad on TV.
You're really trying to.
I'm being funny. I'm being funny. Have you seen the ad though? There's an ad for, I forget what company, but it's the ad where the guy talks to the older people and tries to make, and the guy says so funny. He's like, yeah, I want to slide into those DMs. That sounds good. And the guy's like, no, you're not ready for that. That's why I said it. So you can slide into our DMs, or you can go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. That's so hard to say some mornings. And we'd love to talk to you more about how that might fit into your life and into your plans.
Here's the other thing I would say too is, and I say this to my nonprofit clients all the time, and I think the same holds true for small businesses and individuals, is that we are all unique. So even if that guy decides to steal your idea, leverage your idea, he's going to do it differently. Because what's real for him is not what's real for you. And you may not have the same resources. Like he might not have a TV or laying around. And yeah, he might be able to get a TV for $100, and it's not the one that he wants because it maybe doesn't have the spot for the zip drive. And so he has to, that's not going to work for me. I want to do something different. And I think that's the thing is for all of us, and especially with that program, it's understanding what's real for us. What is our knowledge? What's our experience? What's our perspective? How do we leverage that? And how do we find ways to be open to understanding what's real for others when they share their value and how that can impact us?
I love it.
I'm really glad I came up with that formula.
Which formula?
R equals K plus E plus P.
Look at you taking credit for something today.
I think I did come up with that.
You did.
Even got on here and we had one of our episodes where we had a discussion because someone else wanted to add a piece to it.
Yes. I remember that.
And I think I even influenced the person to.
I think you did.
Going along with it's okay not to add anything else, I think. Anyhow.
There you go.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us today. We'd love to hear your unique perspectives around the show or other thoughts or ideas that you have, or your one thing around watching others and gaining unique perspectives. If you're listening to the podcast, unfortunately, there is no place for you to comment. And so we would encourage you to go to Facebook, search for Sculpt Your Business, our Facebook group where you can pop in and share your thoughts and ideas and your impact and value and gain from the value that others have shared so that what's real for you might change a little bit and help you figure out maybe some struggles that you're currently having. And if that's not working, definitely check our Get Real, Get Results, Make More Money program. So with that, we look forward to seeing you inside of our Facebook group. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.-ish Eastern time for our next episode of Today's Antidote.
Whatever you do on this beautiful Thursday, embrace the renegading you. It's so worth it. And if you watch this on a replay, and it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday or Wednesday, guess what? You still want to embrace the renegading you. Trust me, it would be worth it. I promise.
I agree. All right, everyone, go out and enjoy your day. We will see you soon.